Hello paddlers, welcome back to my channel. Right, I posted a video about a new app for kayaking, but at the beginning of that video I mentioned, would anybody like to see video about how to use a compass, but the absolute basics, super simple, super easy, not complicated at all, keeping it right to the bottom basic levels of it. And I even said I'm going to split the video into 3 parts. This will be part 1. Part 1 will be just a quick look at the compass, right? And basically, if you're in the middle of nowhere, how to find out where north is or south is or northeast or whatever. Right? So the absolute basic usage of a compass. That's what this video is. Excuse me. Right, I've got one of my compasses here. So we're going to zoom in, have a quick look at the compass, right? And all I'm going to do is talk about the things you need to know straight away. This is absolute basic bottom line stuff. Nothing advanced about it at all. So let's just change the camera angle and yeah, take a look at this. Okay then, I don't know how clear this image is, but I can't figure out a way of filming this part, so I'm basically just holding the camera in my hand. The first thing I'd say is, if you're going to get a compass, I would recommend a silver, right? I've used them and I find them to be the best. Right, there are other makes out there and models and all this sort of stuff, but I'd recommend silver. But there you go, it's up to you. You can pick up a compass for about £3. Right, a cheap silver compass will cost you about £30, but then you can start to go up in price. But I would recommend getting a silver, right, which is what this is. They're extremely accurate. Okay, now what we're going to deal with today is this arrow. I need something for pointing, really. Just a moment. Trying to reach a pen. That'll do, sorry about that. Trying to keep out the light. We're going to deal with this arrow, right? That's your direction arrow, right? Remember, we're keeping this absolute. We're not going to talk about all these numbers and measurements and stuff. No. We're keeping this one simple. You're in the middle of nowhere, you want to find a direction. There's your direction arrow. Remember the name of that. Alright, here on your dial, alright, if I just turn it round a little bit, see that little red box there? Believe me, there's a lot of names for that, right? We'll just keep it simple and call it the red box, okay? And if you notice your needle, right, part of it's red, part of it's white. We're only dealing with the red. So when I say the red needle, I mean that. The red box, I mean that. Okay? So if I say put the red needle in the red box, what I mean is, as you're turning, right, the red needle is now in or lined up with the red box. Okay, right, of course you get that. On the top of the compass there's a dial that will turn and move. Okay, and all them numbers around the outside of it, right, they're, how can I explain this super simple? They're your bearing numbers. You might have heard or seen on some movie where somebody says head off at a bearing of 327. That's what they mean, these numbers here, right? But we're going to deal with them more in the next video. This one is just to find your direction in the middle of nowhere. Also around this dial you will find, I hope I can zoom in here, but you will find an S, an N, an E and a W, which is your north, south, east, west. Now let's keep this one really simple. Let's assume we want to find north. What you need to do is find the N on the dial, which happens to be there for me, and line it up, right, with your direction arrow. So if I turn this, I don't know if I do this with one hand, I've turned that dial, not quite there, sorry about this, there, I've turned the dial now so that the N is lined up with a direction arrow. Alright, forget the inside of the compass at the moment, that's not important. Now what we're going to do is stand up, change camera angles again. Remember the red part of the compass, right, and the red box, the red line, right, well we can't call it a red line. We're trying to keep this simple. You've got your red box and your red north. We'll call that your red north arrow. Okay? The thing that moves about. Alright? And I know it's not called that, but I'm trying to keep this really simple. So, we want to find north. We've put our dial on N, following the direction arrow, and then we'll move on to the next part. Jump shot. Okay then, right, we've lined up our N with the direction line, right. Now all we do is keep the compass as still as you can, right. I'm stood up now, by the way, sorry. Keep the compass as still as you can and move your body, don't move the compass, move your body. Turn your body in a circle and keep going until the red pointer is lined up inside the red box. So just keep going and going and going. There. Now I know that if I follow that line now, I'm heading north. So what I would do at this point, I'd look forward the way that's pointing, and if there's some trees in the distance or something like that, I'd walk towards them, then I'd do this again. Okay, if you try and walk, you'll end up going the wrong way. So just look forward, find some trees or something or other, walk towards them, then do it again and do it again and do it again, and so on and so on. Right, now let's just assume I want to find somewhere else. Let's say, just for argument's sake, northeast. No, let's do it a bit harder. Southeast. Right, there's the E for the east. There's the S for south. So southeast is bang in the middle of both of them. So I line up the compass so it's bang in the middle of south. There's your south, there's your east. I want to line it up till it's bang in the middle. There is a little marker, right? South, east. So now the compass is pointing, the dial I should say, is pointing southeast. And you do exactly the same again. Right, I'm nearly there actually, but we'll do it the hard way. You basically do a circle, you don't move the compass, you move yourself. Right, you keep going round until the red pointer is inside the red box again. Right, I said I was nearly there. Just about there. Now I know that that direction is southeast. Right, so just like north, I would look, find some trees, find a hill, a building or anything, walk towards them and do this again. And it's just the same as if I wanted to find south, which we're nearly there. Just line up the S, right, line up the S, right, and just turn. It doesn't matter which way you turn, you must keep your compass still, though, still as you can, right, and turn yourself until the red line is in the red box, which is there. So I know that direction now is south. And it is that simple. Like I said, don't worry about them numbers yet. We'll go over them in the next video. But that's how you find your most simplest bearing of which way you want to head. And that is how to find your direction if you're in the middle of nowhere and you know you just want to head north, south, northeast, whatever. That is the absolute basics of a compass. You can't get any more basic than that, just knowing which direction is what. Why would that be useful? Let's just say you've parked your car, whatever, but you've gone for a walk and you're in a forest or you're on the mowers or whatever, right? As long as you know when you parked your vehicle, I mean, you've driven there, so you know whether you've parked over on the west side of the country or the east side or whatever, because you've driven there in the first place, right? So you know there's a road or signs of life somewhere on the west side of where you are, but you don't know which way north, south, east or west is. That's where that would come in handy. That's no good for a map, but the map will come in part 2. I want to keep these videos short, and hopefully, as long as them camera angles worked, because that was very tricky actually, hopefully you'd have got the idea. If there's any questions, just leave us a comment, but don't ask me anything more technical, right, because they'll be coming up in the next 2 videos, because the next video will be how to take a bearing on a map. In other words, you're at point A, you want to get to point B, but you don't know which way it is and whatever. So how to add the compass with a map to get your directions. Okay, that's part 2, and part 3 is to do with your magnetic differences. I'll go into that in part 3. Right? It's not differences, it's magnetic declarate differences. Whatever. Right, so that's part 1. Just your absolute basics of how to use a compass. Okay then, watch out for part 2.